We're a few days removed from the recent State of Play event where Marathon's launch trailer was shown off, the free server slam was revealed, and some exclusive gameplay was played out by the Burnt Peanut and Genji. And essentially today, I wanted to recap everything that has been revealed about Marathon and then sort of give you like an unofficial roadmap of sorts on what to expect between now and Marathon's launch on March the 5th. Now, the biggest thing to expect coming up is obviously the open preview week in Server Slam. This will run from Thursday, February the 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific until March the 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific. That means every one of us is going to have a solid 4 days to really get a good feel on what Marathon is going to offer and whether or not this game is for you. And then if you do find yourself really enjoying it, you'll just have a few more days of waiting before the full game releases. Now, as for the content that will be present during the Server Slam, we're actually going to be able to play on 2 zones, aka maps, that being Perimeter, which is an edge site expansion on the colony's outskirts. We've played on this last year, but this is pretty much the starting map and where most of us are going to be spending a lot of our early hours of Marathon on. The other map during the Server Slam is going to be Dire Marsh. This is the colony's agricultural research hub, and I would say that if you're looking for PvP, at least last year during the alpha, this map felt a lot more PvP heavy. It also had more valuable items, at least in comparison to Perimeter. Now, you're going to be able to try out 5 of the 6 runner shells, which includes Destroyer, Assassin, Vandal, Recon, Triage, as well as the Scavenger Shell Rook. Now, I'm not really sure why Thief isn't going to be available, especially considering we saw footage of Peanut playing as Thief, or perhaps Bungie just trying to save that for launch. Now, you'll be able to take on early contracts for 5 of the 6 factions as well and progress through early faction levels and progression trees. This includes Cyber Acme, Nucleoric, Traxxas, Mida, and Arachne. Now, you'll be able to play as a crew of up to 3 players or play solo. And remember, Marathon does feature proximity chat. If you didn't know by now, Bungie's literally showing it off every single second they can. They're like, hey, look at us. We promise we have proxy.
Ah, you would like a battle of the fisticuffs, you do? Fine then. Are you sure you are prepared for such epic battle?
May the best man win.
3, 2, 1, come get some! Yeah! Take that, fool! Gotcha!
Now, I'm not 100% sure if this will be present during the Server Slam, but posted on X, there was an image for Cyber Acme, and it said that while playing in solo queue or as Rook, rep gains are increased by 20%. Fellas, that is actually a hell of an incentive to play as a solo player. Yes, it is going to be more challenging. You are going in as a solo. You don't have a team to fall back on, but you'll be up against other solos. And that extra 20% in rep gains is something that I'm probably going to even consider, or in the least, dabble in solos when my team is not online. Now, I do not think that Marathon is going to be as friendly as Arc Raiders, even for my solo queue players. I'm just going to let you know, Destiny players are going to be playing this game, and they've got a lot of frustration, and they are going to kill on sight. You got a ton of PvP players that feel abandoned and a bunch of Psycho Gambit players. These people are not happy. They're coming for blood. My best suggestion to you, shoot on sight. I mean, really, guys. You might be an Arc Raiders player and you're like, but wait, can't we just talk it out? Can I hit him with the hey, don't shoot? Good luck, man. That's all I can say. Good luck. Now, this 20% is really nice, but do keep in mind that this is probably a balancing thing. Since if you're playing with a full team, all crewmates earn reputation when a contract objective is completed. But if this is something that extends beyond Cyber Acme and it does give you a 20% rep gain buff when playing solo, I think this is fantastic. It keeps solo players from falling too behind from folks that do have pre-made teams. Now, there will be a reward incentive once the full game launches for participating during the Server Slam. I've seen some folks saying online and even in my own chats that your progress will carry over, but that's not exactly how this works. These reward incentives will be based on how much you play and progress during the Server Slam. And get this, unlocking better gear for you to start out with come the full launch. So first up, everyone who simply just completes the intro mission will unlock a unique emblem and a player background which will mark you as part of the first wave of runners. Now, I don't think we have any images of these yet, but this is a nice little easy bonus. Now, completing your first mission is going to unlock the standard arrival cache, which will contain 6 standard implants, 4 standard runner shell cores, 6 standard weapon chip mods, and 2 weapons, that being the Overrun assault rifle and the Hardline precision rifle. Now, reaching runner level 10 is going to unlock the enhanced arrival cache, which are your green rarity items. This will include 6 enhanced implants, 12 enhanced runner shell cores, essentially 2 for each shell, 4 enhanced weapon chip mods, and 2 weapons, that being the enhanced magnum pistol and the enhanced hardline precision rifle. Then finally, for my folks that go the extra mile and they reach runner level 30 during the server slam, this will unlock the deluxe arrival cache, which are your blue rarity items. This will include deluxe and enhanced implants, that being 3 of each rarity, 6 in total. Deluxe and enhanced runner shell course, that being 1 of each rarity, 12 in total. Deluxe and enhanced weapon chip mods, 2 of each rarity, and then 2 weapons, the deluxe magnum pistol and the enhanced volley precision rifle. And to top things off, you'll get 1 deluxe base backpack. Now, I actually really love that there's incentives for playing the server slam. And I think for many of us that are going to be investing a lot of time in Marathon and want to have a leg up day 1, we're probably going to go through the process of leveling our runners at least to level 10, potentially level 30. And I'm actually curious the time commitment for this as well. But outside of that, I do think that the server slam is going to be extremely important just for the general gaming audience. This is going to be the time where people actually decide for themselves whether they think Marathon is a good or a bad game. And if you remember from last year, the closed alpha was very limited last year, along with many of the other closed tests that have been conducted over the last year. Now, I have seen a few concerns online, one being the timing of the server slam, it being just a few days essentially before the launch of the game. This is essentially the weekend before the launch. And with it being so close to the final product, the concern is that if there needs to be any type of adjustments, is there enough time to allow that? With us having so many people that are going to be playing the game, I'm sure issues are going to be found, potentially even major issues. And that's just not something you're going to discover in the limited playtest Bungie has done over the past year. More people equals more opportunities and more folks that are just playtesting things. On top of that, it doesn't really give Bungie a lot of time to implement those changes, at least before launch, which is why Arc Raiders, when they did their server slam, yes, it was kind of close to launch, but it still had a 2-week window, which gave them enough time to adjust things on the fly. Now, me saying this doesn't mean that they're going to change anything. I don't expect Bungie to suddenly say, okay, we're going to do the server slam this coming week instead of next. Seems like they're pretty dead set on the rollout here, so nothing we're saying is probably going to change much. Let's just hope that there isn't anything major that does need to be addressed before the actual launch. I would say for the rest of you, though, that are on the fence about Marathon, this is truly your opportunity to jump in and give it a go, man. Try it out. See what it feels like. If it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, well, now you know. Now, moving on, let's discuss some of the additional content coming to Marathon once the full game launches and beyond with its first season. You see, there's going to be 2 more zones. First is Outposts, which is set in the middle of a thriving UESC military installation. This is the map that we saw Peanut, Genji, and Joe Ziegler playing on. Now, the other map, which is the big one, the one Bungie's been teasing for so long, is the Cryo Archive. This is the first in-game zone aboard the derelict UESC Marathon ship, which will unlock during Season 1. Now, when they say Season 1, I'm really not sure if this starts as soon as the game launches, or if there's going to be a very short pre-season 0 beforehand. What I will say though, time is of the essence, and I hope Bungie doesn't wait, considering that all the raid-like mechanics have been heavily teased when it comes to the Cryo Archive. They've been really building this up to be a huge deal, and the thing that will really make Marathon feel special and stand apart from other extraction shooters. Now, this also seems to be where we're going to be experiencing the compiler enemies for the very first time. Yes, we're going to do a lore breakdown video very soon, as let me just say, where Destiny clearly has a good and a bad guy. In the world of Marathon, there's just a lot of gray, man. Now, there's been a lot of talk and debate about how difficult the PvE enemies are. I'd say the UESC enemies are threatening, but maybe not as unique as Arc's enemies. Inside of Arc, I feel like each one of them really have so much character about them, which is why Bungie adding in these different enemy types is going to be so important. This is that variability that's going to be needed to make Marathon stand out. Now, another thing to expect at launch is, of course, the 6-runner shell Thief, as well as all 6 factions, which includes Sekiguchi genetics, along with additional contracts and deeper upgrade trees. There's also going to be a ranked mode coming to Marathon during Season 1, which we already have a video covering that, but it's a really interesting concept. Essentially, you have to meet a gear ante to even queue up. So needless to say, it's going to be one of those modes where people are risking probably a fair amount of loot, which is going to be the ideal place if you're looking to jump in and make out with some bank. Now, we are supposed to be receiving a full roadmap sometime before launch, as the team has already said that they are planning Marathon for the long haul. So it could be something that actually drops during the server slam. I know for Destiny players, we ourselves need our own roadmap, and I actually feel like it would be kind of a slap in the face if Marathon got a full roadmap roadmap right now, when so much in the Destiny world is just in limbo at the current moment, considering we are supposed to be getting some sort of announcement officially from Bungie about the delay of the next expansion. Now, before closing out this video, I do just want to take some time to discuss some of the gameplay that we saw from Peanuts, some from Genji, and also some of the gameplay provided by Bungie. First of all, let me just say that the game looks miles better than it did previously. And when I say previously, from last year's alpha to where it is now, it is a night and day difference. I know there's some folks out there that still don't like the art style, maybe don't like the aesthetic, perhaps the UI still rubs you wrong, but just look at this side by side. Now, Bungie really showed off Outpost a bunch. And the main gist of Outpost is that you have this outside area, which seems to be where you'll start and where various extraction points are. However, there's an environmental event called Heat Cascade. Now, this will periodically happen, and it essentially rains fire to the outside of the map, which of course deals damage when you stand on it or if you're getting hit by it, dealing damage over time. I really like this because it essentially pushes everyone into the inside areas, forcing engagements. Now, for the inside part of the map, the main focus is this pinwheel, which seems pretty close quarters and where most of the PvP engagements will take place. Now, there are two ways to enter the pinwheel. One of them is by finding these green key cards, which can be used to unlock a terminal. Now, the other they didn't actually show, but one of the devs playing as Rook was kind of explaining it, essentially saying that there are 4 boxes that you can shoot, which would lower a shield blocking the way. Now, inside of the pinwheel, there are various locked doors. Each of these needs keys, but the main thing that they essentially spent the whole stream focusing on was entering this one specific room, which needed higher tier orange and red key cards in order to unlock it. Now, the green key cards seem to be mainly on top of like counters, and then the yellow and red key cards seem to spawn in these boxes and containers, which did show the color and the symbol on the outside of it, matching the same symbols on the terminal that you're trying to unlock. Now, I'm sure the spawn points probably change up every match, but at least there's some sort of visual cue so you know kind of what you need to be looking for and not waste your time looting everything. Now, I know some of you may be wondering, what about the loot? Well, it really didn't seem that crazy. We saw a few purple items, but otherwise mostly just blues and greens. Now, granted, in comparison to the rest of the loot they found, which was mostly grays and greens, this is pretty good. But this does seem to line up with the reports from the playtest in China, where it was mentioned that the loot felt inconsistent at times and some points of interest had virtually nothing. Hopefully that won't be an issue at launch. Now, in terms of some other minor things, I would say the UI does look better. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it is an improvement. During the alpha, the UI had this light gray texture, and then all the loot icons were very 2D, sort of just these pixels that you couldn't always tell at first glance what they were. I would say now, though, that the UI pops a little bit more with this dark shade of gray, and the item icons are more 3-dimensional, and in my opinion, easier to understand. Now, same thing when you're in the pre-lobby menus. When looking at your runner and loadout before, the stats were displayed at the bottom, and you couldn't really easily identify what they were for. Now, though, your stats are all on the left-hand side, and again, the UI is just a bit darker and more clear. Now, another UI change is that there seems to be a buff and debuff timer above your health bar on the left-hand side. As well as that, I believe that the ability timers are on the right-hand side above your weapons. Now, I couldn't tell what some of these are, but I saw things like Frenzy Matrix with a timer show up there, along with the -1 that said Alert Tracker Detected. In my opinion, this system is actually pretty similar to Destiny's, as I don't really recall this being a thing previously, at least in last year's alpha. And I know some people are going to be like, Cross, that was an alpha. Keep in mind, boys, the game was supposed to roll out in September. So if you think all this stuff would have just magically came together without this delay, you're smoking something, man. I still stand by the delay being the best decision Bungie could have made. Now, some things we noticed gameplay-wise. For enemy players, there seems to be this new thing where when they come around the corner, they have this red highlight around them for a brief period of time. I imagine this is for visibility purposes, as the game is much darker than before. But at the same time, it also kind of like takes away your ability to be as stealthy as you want. Granted, we may just have to see how this plays out. I do know how extraction players are, though. Trust me, there'll be some NVIDIA settings, graphic settings, literally day 1 or day 2, where folks are going to literally be able to see in the darkness. We saw it happen with Arc Raiders. I guarantee it's going to happen here. Now, using healing items also seems to be quicker in comparison to the alpha, but they are no longer instant, and instead, your health and shields will recharge over a brief period of time after healing. Now, back during the alpha, you could revive your allies, even if they were fully killed out. But Bungie's actually seemed to have tweaked this. Now, once an ally goes down and then is fully killed out, there's going to be a locked icon under their name, along with a 20-second timer before they can be revived. Now, we also got to see Thief's prime ability, the pickpocket drone in action. We saw this interact with the world and open a door, and it looted a purple item from another player. And then we got to see how much loot the pickpocket drone can actually hold, which is a total of 8 loot slots. Now granted, some bigger loot items will need multiple slots, but I actually think 8 slots is pretty good. Now we're not gonna get too hung up on breaking down every single thing, but there was this that came across us on Twitter. In this image here, you can see this item called Thick Skull V3 Schema, which upon exfil unlocks 5 Thick Skull V3 implants for purchase in the armory. Now, although Marathon doesn't have crafting, think of this as sort of like a blueprint where once you exfil, you can now buy a limited amount of that item. I'm actually curious what you guys think about that. Now, finally, I'm not sure if these will be interactable or not, but here we can see a terminal on the wall, which is very similar to the terminals from the original Marathon games, which for my folks that know, this is how you mainly experienced the narrative back then. So it seems like that's also going to be present here. Now, my final thoughts, at least from everything we've seen, I think the visuals do look a lot better. Last year, man, and yes, I know a lot of people are going to say, but Cross, it was an alpha. Guys, it just wasn't there. Destiny is a sexy game. Marathon then did not look sexy at all, and it actually looks sexy now. I also feel like the sentiment towards Marathon is shifting more positive, especially in comparison to last year. I know there's a lot of talk about the gameplay from Peanut, but keep in mind, guys, Peanut likes to meme. You're going to see people sweating in Marathon. You could tell like the Bungie devs and them, they were really trying to show off proxy chat. They wanted to show off moments there that are memorable. And I'm not saying that that's not going to happen in Marathon, but I think it's going to be much fewer than what you see inside of Arc Raiders. I could be wrong, but I do believe Marathon is just going to be a sweatier game. And so if you're a fan of engagements, I think Marathon is going to have that. Whatever the case, there is going to be a lot of attention on Marathon during the server slam leading up to the launch. This is going to be the time where people are going to make a decision on whether or not they are going to be playing this game. Whatever shakes out, guys, I'm just happy we're finally getting to the point where Marathon is just being released, man. I feel like it's taken forever, and hot damn, I hope it lives up to the hype. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.